Larry came on just to put him down. SpongeBob turned into a clown, and no girl ever wants to dance with a fool who went and ripped his pants. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I am coming at you today with a little bit of a podcast number 253 with Mr. Squibs on. I put OME accidentally. It should be OME, OMI, VeVe investing and more. So I will go in and bring him on as soon as it gets on here. Might just have a little bit. If it's the first time using StreamYard, sometimes it doesn't connect. Sometimes it takes a little time. Type your name in, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if his browser might not support it. Anyway, but as we wait for him, let's take a look on the crypto market is going gangbusters today. It happened to go, let's see what, Bitcoin's up 3% on the day. Ethereum's up 7% on the day. I'm sorry, Bitcoin is back down a little bit. We wound up going to like 1096, a bit past that, down to about 1088 right now. Again, I'm not really expecting it to just go up in a straight line. It obviously has to pull back a little bit. A bunch of bears and shorts do get liquidated at 120. That is quite a bit a ways away. And Ethereum had gone over 2,600 today. I think it was at like 2610, 2612, back down to 2572, but just a lot higher than the low. The low of today was like 2395. And like I said, we're really excited that that's happening. Be advised, obviously, I'm the owner of the daCAT IP, but daCAT, they got hacked today, at least the Twitter did. So if you go and take a look at daCAT, it said they're saying we're excited to announce an airdrop. That is not true. They are not doing. We at daCAT are not doing any airdrops right now. The scam site is called claim-dacat.com. So we did go in and report everything. We actually probably know who the person who hacked it is. But either way, this is one of those things where you never ever connect your wallet to anything. Mr. Squibs, I cannot see. I'm only seeing edit name, kick from studio, ban to studio. I cannot add you. So if you want to go out and come back in, that. Oh wait, hang on. Well, I added you. Can you talk? If you are talking, I cannot hear you. There you are. You are unmuted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Wonderful. Are you able to see me?
I cannot see you.
Okay.
I see a big X on a camera.
Okay. Let's see here. Should tech check before starting here, but
it happens. Telling the peeps to not go to claim/dacat.com because they the daCAT X got hacked and they're trying to put in a scam site. Do not connect your wallets to anything, much less that. So I'll go over and once we regain control of that, then we'll take those down and postings will be resumed as normal. Okay. Get to some of the comments here. Fun under the sun saying Squibs. Bill Gardner saying let's go.
All right, all the big names here. This is fantastic.
Yeah, what Mammoth? How's it going, fam? VeVe Zombie, what up? I also hear you have the lowest mint of an AF15 common. Is that right?
Yeah, the 187.
Yeah,
unless one was just released that I'm not aware of, a lower mint. I still maintain the lowest mint.
Epic. Oh, that's the lowest mint out of all the AF15s, not just a common, right?
Public mint, correct.
Yeah.
I also have for the secret rare, the number 51, which is the lowest non-public mint.
How'd you get that?
I think so. Somebody from the VeVe tech team, from what I understand, had listed that about a year and a half ago, and assuming that was probably part of his comp package.
Yeah.
Guessing, and maybe he was just kind of, he would have rather had $15,000 and had that 51, and worked out the opposite for me. I would have had the 51 than $15,000, and we had a deal.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I don't have I got a AF15 common and an ultra rare. They are not, I don't think they're good mint numbers. They're just, but the ultra rare I got at 350 and now it's up to 550. So I'm pretty happy with that. That
Nice.
is going to be donated to the daCAT wallet as soon as they allow KYB. Have you had any conversations with any like level 100s, anyone close to David, about KYBs coming up?
No, no, I have not.
Hmm.
Um, Randy, do you mind if I leave the studio and
Yeah,
attempt to read, see if that fixes it? All right.
yeah, we can
One
see
moment.
if that
Just one
works,
moment here.
and we'll see your beautiful face. On top of that, so despite everything being wonky with the Cat's X, they're actually up about 6% on the day, 3,200 in volume, $1.2 million market cap. And let's see if this works. It does not.
Oh, still negative. Okay.
Are you on your tablet, phone, computer?
Laptop.
Hmm.
You know what? Perhaps I just do this on my phone if well, all else fails.
All else fails. I could. It's just crazy enough to work.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
All right. So on top of the daCAT, we'll go over Definity here real quick while we're waiting for Mr. Squibs. It's up 0.2% on the day. Ah, there we go.
There we
Let me
go.
see my man. How you doing?
All right, fantastic. It's
I,
nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
of course, of course. Thanks for coming by. I see that's a Apple iWatch on your wrist.
I'm sorry.
What's that on your wrist? Is that a iWatch?
It's an iWatch. Yeah.
Have you heard of LFOs and the patents for it?
No, no, I'm curious. Fill me in.
So in like neuroscience or like biology, the LFOs are like natural rhythms to things, like they control like your blood flow, brain activity, etc. So like I know your heart rates and breathing patterns, and the patents for it are like kind of tracking technology so that whenever you're reading something on your watch, it tracks your eye movement, it tracks your like irises and your yeah. So they're in like every wearable. It's not just I watch. Like every wearable that you could think of, it has like neurofeedback, and it's just it's a lot of data, but it's like data not like where you're shopping or anything. It's just like personal data. And I was like, ever since I learned of that 30 minutes ago, I was like, whoa. I just saw a
Wow.
TikTok on it and I was like, whoa, this is
Wow.
this is crazy. Yeah, like I wonder who's storing that. And I wonder if whichever company stores the most is probably gonna be like worth a lot. Like
King of the hill.
have you ever done one of those like 23andMe things?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I was just on 23andMe today, attempting to delete my data because I know they were just sold, and so who knows what the new buyer what they're going to end up doing with this data? I have no
Uh,
idea.
the day that Luigi Mangione pew pew that healthcare CEO guy was the day, or no, was it that day, or was the day that Diddy got arrested? Was the day that the 23andMe like CEO like stepped down before they sold it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, whoa, they're trying to like cover this up with the Diddy stuff.
Mm-hmm. We have no idea what's going on at those higher levels. Yeah, but yeah, you could put some things together and certainly draw some conclusions,
Yeah,
or speculate at least.
same. That's what I love to do. Speaking of putting things together and drawing conclusions, you are VeVe whale, OME whale, general investor. Uh, how would you describe yourself to someone that's, let's say, like new to VeVe but doesn't know who you are, doesn't really know anything about VeVe? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So no, thank you for saying whale. There's definitely bigger people out there than me. But thank you, Randy. Yeah, I've been at this for 4 years now. And after meeting Mr. Pags, about 4 years ago, and became obsessed and bought most of his collection. And provided, bought probably enough things off of him to for him to probably buy a house with what I bought. And I don't regret it at all. I love Pags, and I'm glad he made some money on this stuff. But I love the pieces I have. I cherish them, and I've continued. As prices have kind of continued coming down, I've continued dollar cost averaging. Um, and as any good investor does, or silly investor, not quite sure, but we'll see. But yeah, recently, as you know, have taken a somewhat of a sizable stake in OME. I've never been an OME guy. OME, of course, is the token that powers the VeVe ecosystem, and you could swap, any kind of most popular coins, right? Ethereum being the big one. You could swap that for OME. And then use OME to transact in the VeVe ecosystem. So I've recently taken a pretty sizable made a sizable investment in OME because of the exciting things that are coming down the pike that I'm hearing about. Maybe we'll talk more about those. And I know you've been holding your breath for this for the longest time, Randy. And I think your time is coming, man. I really do. For some of the people that are quite critical out there, I was probably one of those people that was a bit more critical of OME. Maybe critical is a bit of a harsh word, but I didn't quite understand, what the roadmap was or what they were doing with it. I know they had, Dave and Dan had shared a number of things that they were doing that, they intended to do with OME. That hadn't quite come to fruition. But ever since Dr. Profit had really kind of, started to build Stacker and, doing what he's done with Stacker, which sort of couples with VeVe, for people that are new to VeVe. It's a site that kind of aggregates a lot of the data, historical data for sales data on VeVe. But he's also provided the ability now for people to transact with OME. So that's super exciting. Yeah. So that's like phase one, and I know Dr. Profit and VeVe have some pretty big plans ahead for OME, and which has big implications for the entire ecosystem. So I'm stoked, and I've got quite a bit on the line for it. So we'll
Heck
see.
yeah. What, man? Mrs. Pags wanted his secret rare Spidey number 66. I bet he did. So it's a big one. Huge one. Omar saying good evening. What's up, Omar? How's it going, fam? So there's
Omar?
I was just checking. I bought a couple partner statues recently, and I noticed like on the list, like I wonder how much I have to get like to be on Stacker's like top like 7 or top 8, however much they have there. And guy named Scouz, SCOUZ has 9. I was like, oh damn, I don't think I'm gonna get that many. And then I look up top. Oh, Mr. Squibs is 14. That was pretty legit. So
I'm just trying to dollar cost average some of these lower mint partner statues I picked up a few years ago. So
yeah. There's Profit and that guy KM 3000 have most of the sub 100s. But you're mostly known for your AF15s. Is that how you'd like to be known, or is that something that you just like, well, it's what I have kind of the most significant pieces of? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So it used to be the partners. I bought the 45 partners off of Pags many years ago when I got into VeVe, and then it was the 47, and then I picked up the 49, and then somebody had the 53, and I'm like, well, I'll just continue with this sort of like odd number thing, leaping down the line there. So I'm just missing the 51 there to have, and then the 41 and 43, of course, that would be nice as well. But and then eventually my passion spread to my collecting passion spread to comics, and of course AF15s. I started buying AF15 secret rares because to me the edition size of 250, the most famous comic in the world, in a high grade now that would probably go for $5, $6, $7 million. It seemed like a no-brainer to me, and at the time I knew that, at some point self-custody or interoperability would be a thing on the table. But I was sweating a little bit, while buying these things, up to 41 at this point, which is 16.4% of the supply, I think,
Oh my God.
if I have the number correct. So So anyone out there considering buying an AF-15 Secret Rare, you can take solace in that floors are somewhat protected, because anything that kind of hits at a reasonable price, I'm probably going to end up adding to my collection. And yeah, I'm really proud to share, and really grateful to share that I've had the opportunity to, I've done a lot of deals with people who had these low mint AF-15 Secret Rares, including the first public mint, which is the 201, and the first non-public mint, which is the 51. And then I think I also have the second public mint, the 218, and then I think it's the fifth public mint and the sixth public mint. So I think in total, I think I own about a third of all 3-digit secret rares.
That is
Yeah.
insane. For those of you
Yeah.
wondering, the floor is like $7,000. So if you wanted to go in, and you could save like $100 if you pay an OME, and you pay like 36.5 million, which is bananas.
Wild. It's wild.
So obviously it's really nice to be able to stack things, especially down here where the prices are a bit cheaper than they would be in a bull, because you're not really, anyone that sells down here, they're not going to be able to buy it back for the same price when the bull market comes. Like, they're going to have to pay a huge premium. At that point, is there ever going to be a time where you say, like, I'm going to sell like 5 to 10 in the bull, wait for them to come back down, and then grab those back in the next bear market? When you buy them, are they locked up forever? Are they only locked up until this bull? Tell us some of your strategies going forward.
You've spoken like a true trader, Randy. That's great. I love that. These things are a little bit less, I'd like to think, despite the name non-fungible token, I'd like to think these things are a little bit less fungible than trading a stock or an issue like Microsoft, for example, right? Where there's high liquidity, there's a whole shitload of shares. So unless you're trading, you're pushing a block through to buy, or sell, $300 million worth of stock, which is still not a lot, right? There's a very limited quantity. So that said, I would be, prices would really have to move up quite handily for me to let go of some of these. But that is part of the plan. I want to have enough where if the price moves up, in a pretty robust way, I may let go of a few of them and help pay for some of the ones that I picked up early on. And then hold on to the rest, because I think once it starts moving up, I think it's kind of anybody's guess how high you can go. Because I think people are going to use IRL values, comic values, as a reference point to what the digital versions should be valued at. And my thing is always, I'm always trying to buy at the bottom. Sometimes catch the falling knife. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But instead of waiting for some of the stuff to take off, it's like, the question is, how much lower can this stuff go, right? It's like, can AF-15 go from 7 to 6 to 5? It's like to 4. It's like, you're getting close to the ground, so it's like, it can't go much lower is my thought process. So I don't want to chase it in a bull market, and I think that's a terrible thing to do, because what if it spikes to 30 or 40, and then you buy one at 25 or 30, and then it's like, then how do you know it's not going to, it may take another 6 months to move up another 50%. So I feel like it's a sure bet to try to get one earlier, to really trying to hedge your bets. So that's the way I play the game, but not everybody plays that way, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I've gotten a couple partner statues. Obviously one is going to be donated to daCAT. One is mine. They're 3 digits, which I think are fun. But Profit's got like 9% of the supply of the partner statues. So it's like, okay, that's locked up, and you don't. So have you taken a look at how many of the AF-15s are possibly in accounts that were maybe bot accounts in the past, and now they're locked up because they weren't bot accounts, and now they're essentially locked?
That's a great question. I was kind of running through that exercise with Low Mint Mick at one point, and I know he was getting really jazzed. Thinking about this, but I'm not. I'm not so much an expert in blockchain technology. I would love it if somebody were to kind of take a peek at that. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because that can really skew the numbers, between, I think Profit has 11 AF15 secret rares and my 41, that's 52. That's, you're talking, what, 198 minus whatever, the remaining that were held back, another 12. You're talking pretty limited numbers,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if there were even like 10% that were locked, 25, and again, I don't know who the rest of them would be. I know Anath, that he's a cool dude.
Hmm.
He's got two, and I mean, he's got OME as well, so I don't think these are probably the things that he'll keep. If he ever wants to sell, he'll have OME, and that's the other thing. You got a bunch of OME now,
Yeah.
and so you might not even need to sell some of these. You might just be like, well, I have enough OME. Um, did you see David come on the OME Homie show last week?
I caught a little bit of it. Yeah, some clips.
I asked him about, like, hey, you and Dan happen to have a really large percentage of the supply. Some people that look at that, they might not, it might thwart them from coming in. And he said, we've thought about that, and we might either we might take some of the founders tokens and give them to OGs, not all of them, obviously, a small amount. And he said, or we might go in and just keep some, like, for the VeVe reserve, because he said the OMI is going to be, that's the only way you're going to be able to transact, it sounded like. So that sounded pretty awesome. Either way, those tokens seem to be locked up. For OMI, you were never an OMI guy. What changed for you? Why did you get so much recently?
Good question. Yeah, I think it was the big announcement in Lisbon, right? I think the idea, from what I understand now, is that a lot of the VeVe comics and collectibles are going to be moved on chain. So and that will allow, that creates the potential, or the situation where we'll now have self custody and interoperability. So and some people are kind of like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, and sure, yeah, I that's totally fair, right? I'm the same way. It's like, show me the money.
Yeah.
But we're talking, Dr. Profit here is he's working on this actively. We see what he's doing. We've spoken to him, and I think it's getting the licensors on board to do this. But I think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to come fast. And I
Yeah.
think at that point, I think the market's going to move. The market will quickly adjust. Pricing will quickly adjust to news. And I think it's crazy to me that kind of people took this with a grain of salt, and I understand why. I think there's a lot of promises that were made that weren't followed through on, and so people are kind of like, I'm going to wait to see what happens. And but I think the people that will that are going to make out on this are the people that heard the message, that understand that Dr. Profit is serious about this, and you know, he's cooking. They're
Yeah.
cooking. So it's very exciting.
He's getting that, Brett. And I think that in the next, so VeVe, they've had a bit of a tech issue really kind of since they started. It's gotten a lot better. But I also think that within a year, both the VeVe tech stuff that's working with Stack, I don't know how they're going to do this with Spotify. I don't know who's going to build that or who's going to build the thing, but that's one of the things I mentioned. And was there anything that was mentioned outside of the actual presentation about Spotify or other companies?
No, I mean, I heard some rumors of some things, but I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we can really go places with kind of moving the stuff on chain. And this is all the same stuff that was part of the roadmap in 2020. And I think that's what brought a lot of people here, right? A lot of serious investors, if you can call it that. I know people, it's like whether you're an investor or just somebody who's a collector, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has their motive for doing what they do. But yeah, I think there's I think there's immense potential with this, and especially with the burns too. The OME burns, the 2%. I mean, I've transacted a couple times using OME to test it out. I've already burned. I don't know. God, I was at a nice round number for OME, and I burned some things and to get some pieces that I wanted, but
Yeah.
but it breaks my heart. I lost some OME, but not
Yeah, I
lost it,
did
but I
too.
traded it for special things. But I'm sure it doesn't matter. We'll
Yeah.
I'm gonna we'll add to the collection somehow soon. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you got enough. I want to get on your level. I have to wait for other things to go. I got to wait for DEVVE. I got to wait for Definity, other stuff to go up. But yeah, I got a gold logo and 2 partner statues and 2 AF-15s, 1 common, 1 ultra rare. And gold logo, is that something that you have, or is that something that you haven't purchased yet?
Yeah. David gifted me one. It was last Comic Con, and I have quite a few people to thank, of course. Pags and and Mr. MC1. He was integral in helping as well. Because I think David's pulled in a million directions um, when he's at these events, and so they got his attention. Said, "Hey, this is Squibs," and I was like, "Get out of here, guys!" And he says, "No, this is Squibs. He's got whatever many AF-15s. You got to get this guy a gold logo." And he says, "You got how many AF-15s?" I looked at David. I was like, "How does David not know this? How does David not know this?" But I appreciated it. And he's like, "No, David shook my hand and real sincere." Real authentic guy, and he's like, I'm gonna send you a gold logo," and I was like, you don't have to, honestly. But he did, and he came through, and so part of the club now, and it's been an honor. So it's been really cool.
Heck yeah. How did you feel about David teasing that each gold logo holder might get an ounce of actual gold?
Oh, that would be fantastic. That would be my first foray into precious metals. So I would, uh, you know, I would most certainly welcome that.
Nice. We got a
Yeah,
witness here. Omar saying he saw you getting that logo at New York Comic Con party. That's awesome. I love
yeah, that
people that
was
was
really
able
cool.
to witness those historical moments. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
got
was.
quite a bunch. What's been your, not aha moment, but what's been your I've peaked? Is it David handing you a logo? Is it you hitting a certain OMI mark? Is it you get it? What is your I've peaked moment on VeVe? Or has it not come yet?
It's a great question, Randy. I've really enjoyed the journey. I think more than anything, I think it's really, I've made a lot of friendships on VeVe. That's been, I think, the highlight. People, making lifelong friendships, um, and and also, I think anybody watching or anybody that's been following me, I think, knows I've been fairly critical of VeVe, particularly early on, for not meeting those goals that they set out to accomplish. But as I've gotten to know David and Dan, and Dan in particular, um, I've really come to appreciate, because somebody that, I run a business, a small business, and it's intense, right? It's intense stuff. It's every day that I have a laundry list of things I want to do, and I have a vision, and I'm behind on most things, right? But I still run a successful business, and people I talk to go, "Oh wow, it's the business is amazing. I love the product." Um, but it's a reminder to me, as I connected with Dan in particular, in Lisbon, kind of hearing his story and some of the things that, sharing with him the app. I'm like, man, the app is buggy. It's like I don't want to go on it anymore. And he jokingly said, "Well, neither do I, mate. Like I have no desire either." He goes, "It's terrible." And so we had this connection and talk about it, and he kind of shared, some of the struggles that they go through, and it's like I really understand. It's like there's so many ways that they can take this, and so many things they can do, and that's not to say that to make it okay to make commitments and not follow through with them, but it gave me some visibility, and understanding into why some of these things haven't come to fruition. So I kind of really appreciated some of those conversations with him, and it really helped me, help provide some perspective, for where they've come from, and really where they're going, kind of what they're working on now, and now that they have more help. especially with Dr. Profit helping to continue to build this. I'm very encouraged. So yeah. So these are real humans. These are guys that are running a business. And I was talking to David, and he was telling me how he was flying all over the world and shaking hands and had 30 different meetings in a week. And it's like, holy shit, this guy's a high performer. You know what I mean? So and kind of getting to know him a bit more. And no, they're just great guys. So I know they're not perfect, like none of us are, but I think they definitely have the best interests of the community in mind. And I think that'll continue to I think some more examples of that will continue to come to light in the future. So
Yeah, I've got a very big respect for David because of all of the stuff that he has to deal with and put up with. And I think that's part of the reason why I invested so much and I put in this amount of time, because I don't really have to necessarily work for my bags, but somebody else that's kind of doing that. And that brings me to another thing. You're likely, and I'm imagining your business is extremely successful where you are, but it's very possible that with how much OME you have and how much you have here on the VeVe app, that you'll probably have a lot of, probably more money than you could really ever need. I've heard that after 40 million, it doesn't really matter because you can have like 30
man, you're
supercars.
aiming low here, Randy. Holy cow.
I mean, but I mean, like, it doesn't matter whether you have 50 million or 800 million. It's
Right.
like you can only buy so many supercars. You can only have such big of a wardrobe. When does the business owner, Mr. Squibs, go in and trade himself in for the retired Mr. Squibs, or what would that look like to you?
That's a great question. I think I'd like to, if I really came into some money, who knows if that'll happen? I certainly hope. But if some of these things really kind of pan out in the way that I certainly hope and expect they will, I'd like to. And hopefully, none of my employees are on listening to this, but I'd like to pay my employees a lot better and pay them a much more generous wage so they can support their families and themselves and what they're doing. And and all the people that helped me get to where I am, support them. So that's really what kind of drives me. I'm just having fun, building the business, having fun with people and supporting people, so they don't have to worry about money. And so, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do.
Am I going to have to compete with you when the daCAT comic comes out on how many people own X amount of daCAT secret rares, or are you going to let me have that one?
Wait, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question.
Oh, so I'm writing a comic called daCAT. It's an entire universe where I have communities people from Crappy Bird, Sharby on the Chain, Ladies on Soul, Chaos on the Chains, Space Penguins. Who are the other ones I have? Solanki. I have like 12 different communities I'm writing comics for, and it's all under the daCAT like brand and name. And the first one, daCAT Chronicles, will come out whenever the Comic Curator program comes out. So it'll be, I'd say, before the end of the year, and the first one will be 2025 editions, because it's the year 2025. I want to be able to put like a bounty on that last year. And I didn't know if that was something that you would be like, all right, it's Randy's first comic. Let's stack it, or if you'll let me grab as much as I want. I don't know how many people I have to compete with.
VeVe won't hold back that 2025, will they?
Oh God, are you talking about the Nova 1976? Because I'm gonna have to tell them beforehand, like, hey, can we can we let this go to the public? Were you trying for that Nova?
No, I just happened to see it, but
yeah, that was wild. I was on the stream. I was like, guys, we're minting this out right now, and then I'm like, oh, wasn't supposed to happen. So I'm just asking, how did you get your name? Where did it come from?
I was trying to. I always admired Mr. Pags. And I was like, who is this guy? And I remember reaching out. It's like, this guy must be so loaded. He must be so rich. He has 45 partners. This guy has it all. He must have the beautiful girl and the big house. And this guy's got it all. But so he had his listings, you know, low mints, and he always had them posted for crazy prices. And so I was like, I'm gonna create Mr. Squeebs, and I'm gonna get good pieces, and I'm gonna put myself right next to this guy in the market, you know, Mr. Pags and Mr. Squeeb. So that was it. And so that's it. And separately, the name Squeebs came from the lady and I refer to each other. We call each other Beebs, like
Like Justin
baby.
Bieber.
Yeah, it started out baby, and then it turned into Bieber, and then Squeebs. I think in Biebers, and then and then we started calling each other Squeeber Biebers. We have all these pet names for each other. It was Squeeber
Squeeber
Biebers, and I was
Bieber.
like, Squeebers. I was like Squeebs. How about Mr. Squeeb? So that's how it came about. Yeah,
That's awesome.
embarrassingly enough to share that, but
I break stuff. The contract address for daCAT is down below, so you can go in and grab that if you would like to. We appreciate it. Omar saying, I feel like David and VeVe does gold for the logo holders. It would get a lot of contacts from precious metal companies that would want to come on. I agree. I think that would. Outside of the obvious, like Pokemon, what's something that is not on VeVe that you would hope to get because you'd buy a bunch of it?
that would be cool. That would be cool. What does an ounce of gold go for now? Troy gold, and they call
$3,300, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be nice. Any fraction of that would be certainly welcome.
Yeah, it's 33.59 now. Right, meow.
Wow.
So that's quite a lot. I would love it if it was one per logo, because that would be really cool, because I have two. But I feel like it might be just one per logo holder, whether you have one or six. So.
Do you still have that 41?
I do. I got the hat to prove. Yep, got the 41. I have debated about, because at this point the min number is really just like a flex, because whether you have the 41 or 478, you'll get the redemptions anyway each year. And if I was really thinking about selling the 41, getting like two other logos, and then getting a bunch of OME, and it'd be like, so I haven't really advertised it. Like I think I have it up for like 30 grand now, if if someone wants it. But if someone gave me an offer like, hey, I'll do this and it'll be an OME, and it's like, because then with OME I could buy the other stuff. Like I buy another logo, I could buy another. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking for. But why you interested?
I don't know. Maybe for the right price, Randy.
You know what? One of my favorite moments on the channel is like 13 months ago, 12 months ago, whatever it was. Mr. MC1 buying part of my channel, like we agreed to it on the stream. And I think it'd be really cool, because I know you got to go in a little bit anyway. We try to negotiate for the release of the number 41. So obviously I have it at 30 that no one's bought. I had one interested party that was like, yeah, I'll give you 18. I was like, I'm not doing it for 18. So obviously you wouldn't go up that high. What would be your first initial offer?
What's the floor now? I know the floor has moved up a bit after the David comments.
For gems, it's I think 43 something. And then for OME, it's a bit higher. Let me check the VeVe right now. There's currently 18 in the market.
Gems are so okay.
Yeah, so 43.33 for the gems, and then it is 22 million for the OME, which would be, so that's actually 41.80. So the average between those two is like 42.75, 42.50, something like that. So that'd be the floor. What type of multiple would you give for the I mean, if it was like a Marvel thing, I'd be like, okay, you like double it for a sub 100, then you do another multiple for the for the sub 50. But again, for this, the utility just comes from having one. It's not necessarily like the mint, really just a flex, but
I can use some flex pieces, Randy. That's a good question. I don't know if I can go. I'd probably be under 18. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
but good question. The market isn't, you know, low mints, of course, don't command the same value that they once did.
Yeah.
I could tell you that because I own quite a few low
You're
mints,
king of them.
and they are not worth what I paid. So maybe 2x, 3x, maybe 2x, 2.5x, maybe.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. I mean, again, I have the offer for 18, so I couldn't do
I
that.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't take 2.5 from me. I wouldn't
yeah,
do that. I would hold on to it if I were you. But that's
yeah.
what I would pay. But yeah,
Good to know. Good to know.
it's a good piece though. It's a really cool piece to own.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
the card too, the actual card that it came with it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is dope.
Oh, that's
But
cool. Is it
yeah,
signed?
not like it has like the printed sign on it. Like I haven't had them sign it yet. Oh, I probably could. Yeah, I could get them
Yeah.
to sign it, no problem.
I think
And have them send it back.
that should be in the cards. No pun
Yeah,
intended.
that's true. So I know you got to go in a couple minutes. What's something we haven't talked about yet? What haven't we touched on that you want to go over?
What haven't we talked about? Oh yeah, you know, something I wanted to share. I'm a little surprised that more people, you know, that more people aren't using Stacker and using OME to transact. You know, somebody I did a deal with last week was a little bit hesitant to, you know, he had listed in Gems, and I said, well, why don't you list in OME, and I can, you know, use some, you know, burn up some of this OME. And he's like, well, I'm not really sure. I'm a little bit nervous. Can something happen to it? So it's like, you know, I think there's some more educating that needs to happen with OME, maybe in crypto in general. But, you know, obviously if this is in your Stacker wallet, it's like any other wallet that's, you know, it's safe to the extent that you don't, you know, you haven't shared your
Yeah,
private keys. So, you know, I still see a lot of, you know, a lot of markets. I still see things listed in Gems, and it'd be really great to see, you know, people kind of migrating to listing in OME, you know, and transacting in OME. I think that's good for the entire ecosystem, and I think eventually, you know, that's where it'll move, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, but just want to share that. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and of course, like, you know, and what's the cash? So when you sell, I think it is, what is it, 10% fee?
For if you have like a Marvel or Disney something on
Yeah.
Stacker, it's like 10. But if it's just like a VeVe logo or something that's not Marvel or Disney, I think it's 4 or 4.5. Because they add like yeah, I think it's 4.5 because they add
God,
that
that's
little
super
extra on it.
reasonable. We've been waiting years for this, Randy. This is it. It's like it's here.
Yeah,
It's like low cash out fee. I mean, it's the sale and cash out fee is in one lump sum, and it's one low sum. So that's,
yeah,
you know, I'm loving
yeah.
it.
It's
You know.
perfect. I love that. How do we transfer only from a VeVe account to Stack? There's a bridge that you can use. I forget where to go. If you
Mhm.
go on like the Akomi Discord or even just ask them on X, and they'll send you the link to the bridge. It's really simple. I did it. It took me like a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So to go from VeVe account, can you? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, that's a great question. I never maintained a balance, an OMI balance in VeVe. But, you know, I've always had an external wallet, like in Coinbase Wallet, and then, you know, moving it between stackers has always been, you know, pretty easy. But
Yeah.
can you? And I don't know, if one has gems, can you convert gems to OMI, or is that a thing?
No.
Or
No.
no,
The
not
only way
yet.
you could is if you buy something for gems and then sell it for OMI. That's really the only
Yep.
way you'd be able to. But they had that like years ago, the gem to OMI thing, and then that was it, or OMI to gem, and then that was it. Because the OMI to
Mm,
gem was like they weren't receiving any money for it because the OMI would burn, so they would get the gems and they wouldn't receive any revenue, and that was one of those
mm,
Ben Gadenzi, let's kill the company. So
mm,
thankfully they noticed that really quickly.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's get you out of here. As I know you got to bounce. Let's talk off camera for 1 minute beforehand, though.
Okay.
Everyone, say bye bye to Dashi, and thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.